What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, street samurai of all ages, Joker back again, once again. So, let's talk about this guy, this colossal idiot. If you notice in the future that influencers, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, or even other media publications have a hard time covering CD Projekt Red games or Cyberpunk 2077, you can place the blame squarely on this unethical slimeball of a human being. Shane, I don't understand what it means to be shown a game behind closed doors, Satterfield. A real piece of work this fucking jerk-off genius is. Now I know what you're thinking. Joker, you're being kinda harsh. You seem kind of upset. Are you mad, bro? Yeah, I'm mad. And by the end of watching this weasel try to justify his actions, you'll be absolutely livid as well. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, aren't I? So, for those of you who don't know Mr. Satterfield here, he's unfortunately handicapped. Yes, a tragedy, I know. For you see, Shane, it appears, was born without a working frontal cortex. Shane, old buddy, old pal, old friend of mine here, thought it would be a great idea to go into... You know what? Let me go ahead and let the man speak for himself. Let him try to weasel his way out of this one. Let him try to justify what he did.
There was a huge kerfuffle this week with, I know I talked on GameFace last week about how we had the audio from the Cyberpunk 2077 demo that I had recorded while I was at the demo, and I kind of asked you guys what you wanted me to do with it. You guys all said, hey, just throw it underneath some B-roll and we'll listen to it. And so that's what I did. We spent a lot of time sweetening the audio because I had recorded it with my iPhone. And so we threw it into an editing program and re-equalized all the audio, laid it all out in a timeline, looped a bunch of trailers and screenshots over top of it, put a disclaimer in the front of it, and put it up. And within 30 minutes, it was zapped by CD Projekt Red. They filed a copyright claim for it.
I wonder, what could compel CD Projekt Red to do that? Why on earth would a great company like CD Projekt Red ever take down this man's video?
We are super proud to give you Cyberpunk 2077. You're one of the first people in the world to see it outside of the studio. The presentation is going to take about 50 minutes, and during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
Maybe when the guy said no pictures, no video, it should be self-explanatory that audio was under that same disclaimer, you fucking moron. Now, I'm gonna level with you, ladies and gents, boys and girls, street samurai of all ages. I am a complete and utter CD Projekt Red fanboy. A shill, I know, how horrible. But if you had to bat for a team, god damn it, isn't this the team to bat for? I mean, don't get me wrong, there are aspects of The Witcher I don't like. There are aspects of The Witcher that people justifiably don't like. But one of the things that you have to admit about The Witcher, especially Witcher 3, is that it shipped as a complete experience. Something that is exceedingly rare these days. And that collector's edition, that was insane for the price, man. A statue, fucking a $50 art book, fucking Gwent cards, 2 decks of them. It was nice. That statue was so nice, is so nice. I have it behind me. It's just, it's so awesome. And it was the first collector's edition of a game. I'm gonna nerd out here for a minute. It was the first collector's edition of a game that I actually felt like I was getting more than what I paid for. It was like it was fucking Christmas and no one told me. Hell, I think I still have the box in my garage somewhere because I plan on eventually getting the signatures that are on the top of it, framed. Yeah, that'll happen eventually sometime. But even if we go beyond the initial transaction and the awesome collector's edition, CD Projekt Red continued to support their game with free and paid DLC. Skins, quests, weapons, armor was all free. You don't see that in games anymore. And then the paid DLC was literally larger than most games. For a tenth of the price. I think Heart of Stone was like $10 if I remember right, and it probably took me about 10 hours to complete. And then you had Blood and Wine, which was like somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $20, and I think I put 20 to 30 hours into that DLC alone, and I don't think I ever completed everything. I think there's a bunch of treasure and loot that I never bothered to quest for, but I'm just saying, like, the value there is... saying there's value there, saying that there's value in CD Projekt Red games is understating the sheer volume of content that you get for your money. And then just the quality. So yes, I am undoubtedly a CD Projekt Red fanboy. A shill. Oh, how terrible. Oh, how terrible. A company knows how to treat its customers. Oh no, Joker. Coming out to bat as a shill for a company. Yeah, you know what? CD Projekt Red has done right by me so far as a company. So, you know, they got my vote. They got my money. They could literally put a black box out and say, CD Projekt Red game number 357, and I would buy that shit. I would buy that shit day one, sight unseen. Anyways, back to this asshole. This buffoon. This aquamaroon. Not only over the course of this interview will he try to justify leaking the audio to Cyberpunk 2077, but he knows what he did was wrong. Because he doesn't start off just taking credit for it. He doesn't go, yeah, it was my idea to get this audio and put it out there for you guys so you guys could listen to it and enjoy it. No. For you see, he had to deflect responsibility for his actions. It was the internet. The internet asked him to do it.
We had the audio from the Cyberpunk 2077 demo that I had recorded while I was at the demo, and I kind of asked you guys what you wanted me to do with it. You guys all said, hey, just throw it underneath some B-roll and we'll listen to it. And so that's what I did.
And yes, CD Projekt Red, they didn't make me sign an NDA.
It was not an NDA signed.
Even though they clearly can be heard telling people not to record this demo.
And during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
But they didn't say that I couldn't record the audio, so they should have specifically said that. They should have specifically said that I couldn't do it. That's literally his attitude through the entire video, as you will see. I mean, really, what the fuck, Shane? Do you not understand what they meant?
I'm not even going to get into the fact that legally they really did not have a right to do that. I mean, that was recorded on public property.
California wiretap law. Now I know what you're thinking. Joker, what does this have to do with anything? Well, see, whenever recording somebody, California is a two-party consent state. If you're recording somebody without their knowledge, which Shane was clearly doing, in a public or semi-public place, like a street or restaurant, the person whom you are recording may or may not have an objectively reasonable expectation that no one is listening or overhearing the conversation.
And during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
And the reasonableness of this expectation would be dependent on the particular factual circumstances. Therefore, you cannot necessarily assume that you are in the clear simply because you're in public.
That was recorded on public property.
If you're operating in California, you should always get the consent of all parties before recording any conversation that common sense tells you might be private or confidential.
And during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
In addition to subjecting you to criminal prosecution, violating the California wiretapping law can expose you to civil lawsuits for damages by the injured party.
I'm not even going to get into the fact that legally they really did not have a right to do that. I mean,
Shane, old buddy, old pal, old friend of mine. Not only did CD Projekt Red have every right imaginable to take down that video, but if they suffer any losses, any whatsoever, that could be construed as being potentially caused by you leaking the audio after the release of Cyberpunk 2077, then, old buddy, old pal, old friend of mine, they can sue your ass for damages. And if that happens, or if anyone just decides, you know what, that Shane guy, yeah, fuck that guy, you can be opened up to criminal prosecution because you broke the law in California. Also, verbal agreements are contracts, even though they are not memorialized in writing. Assuming that the contract is valid, the verbal agreement between two parties is binding. However, verbal contracts may have unique complications to them. Now, I might be a small-time Destiny YouTuber, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume, for the sake of argument, when CD Projekt Red said,
and during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
I'm gonna assume that if you had a problem with that, or they caught you recording it, they would have asked you to leave. So, the act of not recording it, and not leaving the venue, and staying to watch the demo, as they verbally outlined in their agreement with you, was a contract. And by staying to watch said demo, you agreed to the scope and scale of their demands. Ergo, CD Projekt Red verbally outlined an agreement to which you, the reviewer, or the influencer, or the YouTuber, or the Twitch streamer, or the news rag propagandist agreed to when you sat there behind closed doors. Ergo, you broke a very public verbal contract. So yes, they had all the legality in the world to take down your precious little video. On top of that, they have all the legality in the world to sue your ass. On top of all of that, as you so willingly concede, not only do they own the audio, but they own the B-roll, they own the screenshots, they own the concept art. Tweaking and clearing up the audio does not qualify as transformative. See, Shane, what we have here is the game development version of the fappening. But you wanted to have your cake and you wanted to eat it too. You wanted to see those asses and titties, but you wanted people to also know that it was you who got them for them. But you didn't want to pay the piper. You don't want to take responsibility for your actions. Oh, CD Projekt Red didn't make me sign an NDA. Oh, CD Projekt Red said, yeah, you can't take video and you can't take pictures, but they didn't say anything about audio. Yeah, but the internet said that they wanted me to do it. And then you have the tenacity, you have the balls, you have the chutzpah to claim journalistic integrity. Are you fucking kidding me? You don't get to say this.
This could have been a game changer for Sifted, in all honesty. When I realized that I was the only one that had the audio, because it was like 4 days after the show had ended. And I knew other sites had more resources than we did, and it took me a while to get around to it. I knew if another site had it, they would have put it up right away.
Shane, did you think that nobody else had it because, well, it was kind of implied that you don't fucking shit on the table when somebody invites you to dinner?
So I knew by the time we went to publish ours, I knew no one else had it. And I knew it could have just been huge for us. It could have drawn so many eyeballs to the site, so many eyeballs to GameFace, to whatever. It could have been a total game changer for us. And it wasn't a malicious thing. It was, I had the foresight to do it. I had the idea of how to implement it, and no one else did. It was just one of those cases that could have been a magic bullet for us, and it all got screwed up, and it did nothing for us ultimately. So,
see? Pure self-aggrandizement. Shane here then spends some time pontificating about the nature of a leak.
A lot of people called it a leak. It was not a leak. I realize using the word leak is a lot sexier for a headline on your website or for your message board post. It was not a leak. I didn't go in and hide a microphone underneath a chair or anything like that. I walked in and stood there and recorded it on my phone in front of everybody. There was nothing secret about it. There was nothing malicious about it. It's all been portrayed wrong, to be perfectly honest with you.
Leak. An intentional disclosure of secret information.
And during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
Yeah, you stood there and you had your cell phone and you were playing Jerk Off Genius with it, and Most people probably aren't going to notice what you're doing with your cell phone unless you're sitting there like a tourist, fucking pointing it directly at the screen taking a video. Yeah, if you got your cell phone sitting there, maybe on your lap, maybe on the corner of a table, maybe just chilling like a villain, nobody's going to question it. I mean, it's almost like you went behind closed doors and you recorded things that you weren't supposed to record after being asked not to record anything, and then you released it. It's almost like that's a leak. Oh! Gasp! Shock! Lightning, thunder, crackle, lightning, thunder, crackle, something special effect.
Today, I saw on a podcast, somebody, I'm not going to say who, said whoever did that is an a-hole. And said, again, I'm not going to say who it was, but they called me an a-hole not knowing I was the one who did it. And I know this person, and this person knows me.
Shane, Dickless Wonder, you're an asshole.
And this person, by the way, makes their living off video game publishers and developers by hosting events from video game publishers and developers. So I can see where their perspective might be, that's an a-hole-ish thing to do. This person's not a journalist. I don't want to call myself a journalist. That's for somebody else to say. This person's not a journalist. I mean, I don't want to call myself a journalist. That's for somebody else to say.
Wait a second. Hasn't the entirety of Shane's argument been, up until this point, I'm a journalist, so I did what journalists do, and it will continue to be his excuse that he's a journalist, so he did what journalists do? But he's not a journalist, or he wouldn't call himself a journalist, and of course this other guy's not a journalist. Then what is a journalist, Shane? What is a journalist? You're either a journalist and you're using it as an excuse for what you did, or you're not. Either way, you're still an asshole. And let's be completely honest here, Shane. This had nothing to do with journalism. You've already made the case for why this was purely motivated by greed and self-aggrandizement.
This could have been a game changer for Sifted, in all honesty.
You know, when people start talking about ethics in journalism, Shane, this is the type of shit they're talking about.
No one told me I wasn't allowed to record the audio.
And during which absolutely no videos and pictures are allowed to be taken, but I think that's self-explanatory.
Hey, Shane. I think when they said no pictures, no video, that it should be self-explanatory that you're not recording anything. The good faith interpretation of that would be that they don't want you to record shit for fuck you, nimwit.
Also, for whatever reason, no one else seemed to have the foresight to do it except for me because no other recordings have popped up.
Shane, it's not that anybody didn't have the foresight to fucking do it. It's that they had the basic fucking decency not to fucking do it. You know, when they were asked not to record anything.
But I think this has just been one of the most blatant cases to me of it's hard to be a journalist in this industry anymore. I don't want to call myself a journalist. That's for somebody else to say.
I thought you weren't calling yourself a journalist. So how can it be hard to be a journalist if you're not going to call yourself a journalist? If you're not a journalist, how's it hard to be a journalist with journalism? And I know that sounds weird. What I'm bitching about here is the false humility he shows. Oh, I don't want to call myself a journalist. It's for somebody else to call me a journalist. But I'm going to make all my excuses journalist-related. No, shut the fuck up. Your false humility betrays you.
I feel like Kotaku does a good bit of it. Kotaku breaks legitimate stories where it's not just handed to them on a platter and they're told, hey, you run this on Friday at 9 a.m.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume he's talking about Jason Schreier's coverage of Destiny. Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 and all the expansions and all that other nonsense. Where he talks about the development and he's leaked, Rise of Iron before it came out. That's completely different than going into a closed doors exhibition of a game and recording everything that you're not supposed to be recording. What Jason does is he interviews sources who may or may not be Luke Smith, I'm convinced at this point, and they describe what the development of Destiny is, and he reports on that and he leaves it to us to believe whether it's true or false. What he doesn't do is go up to the Bungie office and he goes, hey, can I play Forsaken before anybody else? And Bungie's like, yeah, sure, you're cool. And then he, records everything. Okay. He records the audio of everything. My apologies. It was just the audio, so it's okay. It's okay. Even though they said don't record anything, because it should be common sense that you're not recording anything. When they tell you not to record anything, when they're showing you a game behind closed doors, which should be self-explanatory in and of itself. If they wanted the public to see it, they would show it to the public. It's almost like this is self-explanatory.
But I think that's self-explanatory.
The marketing and PR machine, in conjunction with influencers, YouTubers, and streamers, have created this environment where people just expect that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes. And here we have it. The crux of the argument. So, Shane here, he's trying to push his own news propaganda website. In fact, many times throughout this interview, he states that this could have been a magic bullet for his website.
This could have been a game changer for Sifted, in all honesty.
See, we no longer live in the age where things like Game Informer or Edge or game trailers are the gateholders for all our media and gaming news. No, in fact, they see less and less traffic as they become more and more irrelevant. YouTubers, influencers, Twitch streamers, that's where people get their gaming news from. That's where people find out if they should go buy a game or not. Because they go and watch it. They go and watch people play it, or they go and watch people whose opinions they trust. I can't even count on one hand how many games I wouldn't have played had it not been for SkillUp, because I trust his opinion. When I first looked at the game, I was like, that's maybe not my thing. But then I watched SkillUp's review, and I'm like, oh, hey, he likes it, and we kind of had the same opinion on games at least, so maybe I should give it a try. And lo and behold, I like it. Imagine that.
It's this environment that's been created in our industry where if you actually try to be a real journalist, you're going to end up getting chided for it. Not only chided by people who aren't journalists, but also by people who claim that they are journalists. And I have news for you, you're not.
And what exactly were you reporting? You say you're a journalist. You say that you did this because my journalistic integrity demanded that I report on it. What exactly did you report? You just ripped some audio from a demo and then reposted it. You didn't report anything. You didn't add anything to it. You didn't do anything. So, Shane, old buddy, old pal, old friend of mine, maybe you could clear it up. Maybe you could type it in the comments below. What exactly did you do as a reporter? You didn't report shit for fuck, dude.
If you're taking money from a video game publisher or a video game developer to host their shows, you're not a journalist. You're on the take. You're a shill.
I thought it wasn't up to you to decide who a journalist was or wasn't. Or does that only apply to you? And can we point out the hate and the vitriol? Are you jelly, bra? I think you're jelly. I think you wish that was you, so you could be making those 10 G's.
I took umbrage with the person calling me an a-hole, even though they didn't know I was the one who did it, just off the cuff, when this person in particular is very well known in the industry for basically pay for play, payola. I'm going to go host your thing, now you give me 10 G's or whatever. So,
well, I've never been paid by a video game company to host or do anything, so does that mean I get to call you an asshole? Because you're an asshole.
To the people out there who did get to listen to it, I'm happy for you guys. You guys got to hear the voice acting for the game for the first time. You got to hear the weapon reports for the first time. You got to hear CD Projekt Red describe the demo and all the details about the demo for the very first time. You got to hear the music for the very first time.
Actually, no they didn't. They got to hear your janky-ass iPhone's recording of a demo. On top of that, Cyberpunk 2077 is in pre-alpha, okay? Do you understand what pre-alpha means? It means that things like the voice work, the weapon sounds, the music are all very, very, very subject to change before the end of the development cycle. Meaning, at best, the best case interpretation of what people heard from that demo is a very polished concept of where CD Projekt Red wants to go with the game, but not a final product.
I saw some other journalists trying to mock it and saying, well, what value is there? There's no value in it. There is absolutely value in that.
Clearly
So,
there is.
Yes, clearly. So
No, there wasn't. There was no value in it. Only value to your company. That's it. Only value to your wallets, a monetary gain that you thought you were going to get. But what right did you have to leak it? Who were you protecting? Huh? Who did you protect by leaking this? I mean, you want to talk about journalism, Shane? Let's fucking go. Let's fucking talk. Who are you protecting? What were you uncovering? What were the fucking ethics, Shane? What were the fucking ethics? Huh? I'm interested. Because from my point of view, what you did, Shane, was just to get viewers. Was just to get eyes to your website.
this could have been a game changer for Sifted, in all honesty.
And then you have this yes man chime in.
So
They wouldn't try to take it
I
down.
feel like there's
For those of you who missed it, he said, well, they wouldn't try to take it down. Really? Really? That's your excuse? That there's value in it? Of course there's value in it. I mean, if there wasn't any value in it, CD Projekt Red wouldn't have tried to take it down. Or, and follow me on this, because I know basic lines of logic are so hard for people to understand, apparently. Maybe, just maybe, CD Projekt Red had it taken down because it was leaked audio from an alpha build taken on your shitty ass iPhone. Maybe, just maybe, they didn't want people hearing this shitty ass recording that you took on your iPhone and that potentially damaging their brand before the game's even been demoed to the public. Did you think of that? Did you think maybe that was why they had it taken down? No. Obviously, there's intrinsic value to this. Obviously. So they took it down. Or maybe you're just a dick and you took something you weren't supposed to take and they were being actually rather nice about it. Duh, think of that. There's no value here, you asshole. Well, with the exception of the value you thought you were going to be getting from leaking this that you didn't get. Because, karma bitches.
I feel like there's a lot of salty dogs out there right now who are like, why didn't I think of that? Well, you didn't. And so instead of lashing out at us, even though you may not even know it was us that did it.
No one is thinking that, Shane, you fucking moron. They're thinking, well, shit, that happened. I really, really fucking hope that this idiotic, unethical fat fuck hasn't ruined this for everybody else. I really, really fucking hope that CD Projekt Red doesn't pull their cards closer to their chest and become even more selective of who they let see their game. I really, really fucking hope we're not all fucked because Shane, I was born without a frontal cortex, Satterfield, decided to potentially fuck everyone else when it came to covering Cyberpunk 2077. Because he needed the views, man.
Maybe you should start thinking critically about your coverage next time instead of saying, oh, they told me I could do this, they told me I could do that, and I could only post it at Thursday at 1 a.m. Think for yourself. Be a journalist. Think critically about your job. Think about your assets and what you have access to and be creative with them instead of just falling in line like a lemming, which is really honestly what the majority of the press is at this point. The fact that I got any flack from anybody who calls himself a journalist over this is pathetic.
My fucking God, Shane. Think critically about your job. Are you fucking joking? Are you fucking brain dead or something? If you're the dick waffle running around leaking shit, then you're not gonna have a fucking job for long, you fucking moron. I hope whatever low rent publication you work for is refused coverage and made an example of until they either go under for supporting your unethical ass, or they cut you loose. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and like always, stay frosty.